My name is Jill. Quick disclaimer, I am not a Green Beret. I'm not in the military, but I do understand this essential piece of advice that every Special Forces operator has been trained to know and understand. In a minute, I'm going to show you a quick clip of what the official advice is. But before we do that, we're going to take a deep breath and we're going to see you on the other side. So in just a minute, I'm going to show you a small piece of a 15-minute video that was actually the second time this guy uploaded it. In combination, it's received over 1 million views. He had to take the first one down because it's YouTube these days. But I wanted to do this for a couple reasons. One is, like so many people, I sat through 15 minutes of, or 11 minutes of just jabbering on about nothing, waiting to see what the big piece of advice was, only to discover, no kidding, I already know that. And it's not a secret, but I will agree with him, almost nobody understands what it actually means. The second thing is, this isn't a slam at the man who's putting this up. I'm not slamming his YouTube channel or what he's doing. He's obviously doing a better job than I am, but I'm putting it up because it just illustrates how we are so fear-motivated, terrified about our own survival. And after we watch this little short clip, I'm going to explain to you why we're like that, what this guy was actually talking about, why part of it isn't true, and what you need to know, how to use it, and, well, it's really the only thing that matters in this life. It's not about survival, it's about life. So watch this and we'll be right back.
I'm just a regular guy like everybody else, right? But you guys know how it works in the business world. Anyway, it's like in the military. You can't fraternize with the lower ranks because it's detrimental to the command relationship. So anyhow, he and I are having a conversation in my office, and I said, I'm a prepper. A lot of people don't know about that. I'm a survivalist and a prepper, and I have been for a long time, and I want to get your advice on some things. And he said, okay, I can give you advice on whatever question you got. No problem, boss. And he was very respectful, very respectful. Anyway, so I told him what I was doing, all the different things I had going on, what kind of weapons I had, what kind of food I had, what kind of medical gear I had, what plans I had. I basically laid it all out there for this guy. And he looked at me and kind of goes like this. He said, okay, he said, I'm going to give you some advice on prepping and survival. So this is what you guys have been waiting for. He said, at some point, you're going to run. You and your family are going to get caught. And you're going to die. Well, yeah. I'm like, that was very uplifting advice. Thanks a lot. So I sat there just like now. I mean, I'm remembering it, and it still hits me the same way. Because I can picture him saying this to me, just, a few feet away, sitting in a chair on the other side of the office from my desk. And I was like, well, I was hoping you're going to give me something more substantial that I could use. He said, you can't use that?
So if you watch that short clip, basically what he's saying is, at some point you're going to die. And I think that's really the thing that's taken me most aback by this whole survival preparation movement, and why I can't really participate in it, because, well, you know what? I worked in an emergency room and with trauma and hospice people and in all kinds of situations. Newsflash, everybody dies, and not anybody plans on it. Even most people who are trying to commit suicide, they don't really want to die. I've talked about that before. About 99+%, if you ask that question, do you really want to die, or do you just not know how to deal with the problem that you're having? They say, yeah, I don't really want to die. I just don't know what to do. And so I bring that up because there's two things I want to really highlight about that, is that we are often much more motivated by our fear to try to defend and prevent what we don't want, instead of just deciding what we do want regardless of what's going on out there. And that's a shift almost nobody can make. And I find it really interesting because as much as I know that, it's something that I struggle with also. I've spent a lifetime battling what does it mean to want to live, what is quality of life, and at the same time, like so many of you, being afraid of the things that are coming at us, and this constant state of uncertainty. And One of the things that I've learned in my, God, 7+ years now of basically, with my rear end hanging off the edge, living in the dirt, with no idea how I'm going to survive from 1 week, much less 1 year, to the next. I'm still here. I'm just fine. I have everything I need, and I'm healthier and happier than I've ever been. So one of the most important things that I want to point out about what this man is talking about, the guy in the video is interpreting it from his perspective, but really what he's saying is that you have to make that mental shift. I think the song is by Tim McGraw, How to Live Like You're Dying, but there's something that happens when you face your own mortality, when it really sinks in. You're not going to live forever. There's something about that when you get a terminal diagnosis, when you face a situation where you know you're not getting out. There's a sense of freedom that can come with that. It doesn't come for everybody. But if you can learn to let go of that fear and move forward and start making choices and decisions about what kind of life you want, it's going to be so much better. And there's such a freedom and a liberty that comes with that. But it isn't something that can be taught, and it's not something that you can buy. It's something that evolves by peeling these process and these layers back of all the different fears we have. And one of the reasons I brought up this idea about the extinction event, there was something about that idea. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime. I don't know what the future holds. My feeling is there is some serious truth to the sun nova event, but I don't know what's true or what's not true, except I'm not going to live forever, and neither are you. And so we're doing all this fear stuff about trying to control a future that is becoming increasingly unstable. And that's actually when your body starts to break down and you start to have all your problems. You make bad choices. You start to be reactive instead of proactive and adaptive. And that's really what my focus is here, is to work with people not to be afraid of their life, not to be afraid of the future, and not to cave into all the uncertainty and instability. It took me a while to figure out that part of my experience was to understand what that wild instability and uncertainty was. Now, I do handle it at a very spiritual level, but there's a lot of really practical things that you need to know in order to best manage yourself in a heightened fear state, or to avoid that fear state altogether. And one of the things he says in that video, at the very end, where he talks about anybody who's really faced fear has, icy grip in their chest. That's not exactly true. Fear is a really interesting thing. We're all wired extremely differently. I can tell you I've had guns pointed at me, and I actually get excited and run towards danger. So we're all very different in the face of a crisis or a fear. And so it's really important to not make assumptions based on other people's experience, or to think that you understand the advice that they're giving you. The most important thing you can know about your future survival is what you're doing today to make yourself stronger, more agile, more responsive, more ready. Preparing to live your best life now really means a quality of life now. And the more prepared and quality of life you have now, the better you're going to be able to handle anything that happens in the future. So as much as we love the headlines, and I'm starting to play that game with the clickbait, the reality is that nobody can tell you what to do, because nobody knows what your future is. You could have a huge tornado and yours is the one house that survives. Survival isn't about defending against what you fear. It's about how you're living, what you're doing every day, how you're training and preparing for your life now. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing at 18 Cross Road, and that's what I'm hoping to do with you. So we're going to take a big old deep breath. You'll learn more at the links below. And with that, so Freedom, what's your survival advice? Do you have any for when it hits the fan? Are you making any preparations? Are you ready to respond? Who's there? Nope. Who's there? Freedom! Who's there? See, he just barely listens. He knows what's real and what's not real. Do you? We'll see you next time.